My parents tried to steal the house I spent a decade saving for, give it to my brother, but when I revealed the truth in court, shocked everyone. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Growing up, Tyler got everything: new cars, college paid in full, a bedroom makeover every year. I got silence and chores. They said I was independent, but it felt like abandonment. When he wrecked his third car, they covered it with my college fund. I worked graveyard shifts and fixed junkers. Kevin, my only friend, saw it all. They claimed I was bitter. I thought I was surviving. Turns out, they were grooming a scapegoat. Tyler flunked out of college twice. They sent him on a healing retreat in Arizona. I got a guilt trip for not calling home enough. My raises went unnoticed. His laziness got labeled as burnout. At holidays, he bragged while I served food. Kevin once asked if I was adopted. I laughed too hard. The family photo wall had 20 of him, 2 of me. Their love came with conditions. Mine came with receipts and resentment. When I bought my house, I thought I'd finally earned freedom. Tyler showed up 2 weeks later, suitcase in hand. Just a month, they promised. He never left. My groceries vanished. He clogged the bathroom with feet parts. When I objected, Mom called me selfish. Dad warned me not to embarrass the family. Kevin said I needed boundaries. I changed the Wi-Fi password. Tyler screamed like I'd stolen from him. That was just the beginning. Tyler threw a party while I worked an overnight shift. Beer spilled into my server rack. My backup drives fried. When I confronted him, he shrugged. Relax. You're paranoid, he said. My parents backed him. He's young, they reasoned. Kevin helped salvage what we could, but months of contracts were gone. When I suggested he move out, Dad accused me of abandoning family. That phrase, it kept returning like a virus. Always aimed at me, never him. I installed cameras after my prescription meds vanished. Tyler called it paranoia again. Then Mom cried, "You're treating us like criminals." The guilt was relentless. Kevin said I needed legal advice. I hesitated. They'd made me believe legal meant betrayal. But when I found Tyler using my info to order credit cards, something snapped. He said it was a joke. My credit took a hit. They blamed my work stress. I realized I wasn't paranoid. I was prey. I documented everything: receipts, footage, emails. Kevin helped sort files. Tyler got bolder. He claimed he'd contributed to the mortgage. I laughed. He told my boss I was having mental breakdowns. Her launched a wellness check. My career was on the line. My parents said, "He's just worried." I showed them bank statements. They said I forged them. Tyler grinned. The gaslight wasn't subtle anymore, it was blinding. I realized they'd believe any lie, as long as he told it. The tipping point came when Tyler opened my safe. He claimed he thought it was a snack drawer. Inside were my birth certificate, passport, and a sealed envelope with emergency cash gone. When I confronted him, he sneered. "What's yours is ours." My parents nodded. Kevin said, "You're being robbed in real time." I finally called a lawyer. Their reaction: "You're destroying the family." No, they already had. I was just documenting the wreckage. I served Tyler a formal eviction notice. His eyes went wide, then narrowed. He laughed. "You think paper scares me?" My parents staged an intervention. They called it a family meeting. It was an ambush. They had a lawyer. Mine was on speaker. Kevin sat beside me. I read every incident. Tyler smirked until I showed surveillance screenshots. Dad yelled. A mom cried. The lawyer looked uncomfortable. My hands trembled. But I didn't stop. For once, the truth was louder. They countered with threats, said Tyler had tenant rights. Claimed emotional distress. Their lawyer sent a demand letter, asking for half the house value. I refused. Kevin found old texts from Tyler bragging he paid nothing to live there. We printed them. My lawyer filed a motion to dismiss. That's when Tyler vandalized my car, keyed traitor into the hood. Police filed a report. My parents begged me not to press charges. I did. That night, I installed deadbolts. Tyler tried to file a restraining order against me, claimed I was harassing him at home. The court threw it out, but the humiliation lingered. My job flagged my security clearance. Kevin helped me draft statements. I was spiraling. My therapist said, "You're being abused," with a smile. It clicked. I wasn't crazy. I was surviving systemic emotional warfare. I doubled down, documented every word, every bill. Tyler mocked me with selfies in my kitchen. I bought more cameras. One night, I came home to find my bedroom door removed. Tyler stood smug. "No privacy in family," he said. My blood ran cold. Kevin stayed over that night, just in case. I filed for a protective injunction the next day. My parents texted, "You're tearing us apart." I didn't reply. That week, I moved all valuables into a storage unit. I slept with pepper spray. I started waking before dawn. Paranoia wasn't paranoia anymore. It was protocol. The lawsuit landed a month later. Tyler and my parents were co-plaintiffs. They claimed emotional compensation and ownership by contribution. It was absurd, but legal fees were real. Kevin helped me compile every document. I hired a forensic accountant. My lawyer filed a counterclaim for damages. The court date was set. My hands shook signing affidavits. The house I fought to own was now a battlefield. But I wasn't alone. This time, I had backup and a backbone. Discovery phase exposed everything. Tyler never paid utilities. My bank records showed it all. Emails confirmed he dodged job offers. Kevin found deleted posts bragging about freeloading. The court laughed them out. My parents tried to switch lawyers mid-case. Their claims unraveled. The judge wasn't amused. The phrase "entitlement doesn't equal ownership" echoed in court. My lawyer smirked. Tyler stormed out. Their mask cracked, but it wasn't over. They weren't done, and neither was I. They accused Kevin of coercion, said he was manipulating me for my property. We laughed until they subpoenaed him. He showed up in a suit, calm and furious. He brought logs, screenshots, voice memos. Tyler had once recorded himself mocking dumb legal tricks. The court played it, silence, then snickers. My parents turned pale. Their lawyer looked like he wanted to vanish. Kevin walked out like a war hero. I walked out with my spine straight. The next move, they tried to freeze my bank account, citing emotional harm. My bank flagged it as fraud. Kevin's cousin, a financial advisor, caught it early. We reported them. Investigators found forged documents with Tyler's signature. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. No longer a family dispute, it became financial abuse. The court issued a warning. Any more false claims would trigger penalties. Tyler stopped showing up. My parents started emailing instead of calling. The silence felt medicinal. They brought in a therapist one I'd never met to claim I was emotionally volatile. She testified, shakily. My lawyer exposed she was Tyler's former roommate. Conflict of interest. The judge threw it out. I stared at my parents the entire time. Not once did they meet my eyes. That day, Kevin took me out for burgers. We toasted to integrity. It tasted like fire and freedom. They wanted to burn me down. I became flameproof. Tayo went live on social media, accused me of elder abuse, showed edited clips, spliced audio. It backfired. Commenters found the originals. One went viral and yelling, "You owe me this house. The internet didn't buy it." My inbox flooded with support. Someone sent me a mug with emotional landlord on it. Kevin laughed for 10 minutes. Their digital war collapsed under receipts. Real justice wears timestamps. Their lies echoed. But mine came with proof. In court, Tyler broke. He cursed the judge, called me a leech with a savior complex. Everyone froze. The judge ordered a recess. My parents tried to calm him. He shoved Mom. Camera's caught it. She fell. That moment changed everything. Public sympathy flipped. Media picked it up. Suddenly, I was the resilient sibling. He became the aggressor. Kevin held my hand in the hallway. "Truth has a body count," he whispered. "Mine survived. Theirs imploded." The judge dismissed their case with prejudice, ordered them to pay my legal fees. Tyler screamed in court. Had to be removed. My parents sat stone-faced. Outside, reporters asked for comment. I said nothing, just walked away. Kevin smiled. "You finally won." I didn't feel joy. I felt air, like breathing had been underwater until that moment. Later, I donated to a housing advocacy group. I knew what theft of safety felt like. No one deserved that. A week later, I received an anonymous envelope inside. Copies of text Tyler sent writing he'd win the house and make no crack. They were time-stamped, brutal, arrogant. My lawyer said it was enough for harassment charges. We filed a Kevin traced the sender Tyler's ex. Tired of his lies, she apologized. I thanked her. Sometimes the truth needs a trail of broken bridges. His burned mind stood charred maybe, but Wackel, I wasn't alone in the wreckage anymore. Tyler's ex agreed to testify. She brought photos of damages he bragged about causing: my scratched walls, broken lock, trashed guest room. Her voice didn't shake, mine did, but I stood. The judge nodded, taking notes. My parents looked gutted. Their golden boy didn't just fall, he crashed. Kevin squeezed my shoulder. "You held the line," he said. I'd spent years being told I was too sensitive. Now I was credible finally. Pain recorded, justice in motion. My parents filed a motion to drop out of the suit, claimed they were misled. The court allowed it but fined them for false claims. Tyler screamed at them outside. Someone filmed it, posted it, went viral again. Public sentiment cemented. I got a card from a neighbor. "We see you, we're proud." I cried hard. Kevin held me. "You don't owe anyone forgiveness," he said, and for once I believed him. Some endings don't need reunions. I won damages. Not just my fees but restitution. The judge called Tyler's actions predatory and systemic. My lawyer smiled. Kevin fist bumped me. I bought a safe, a real one, replaced the broken lock, installed motion lights. I turned the spare room into a guest space for people I trusted. My dog moved in that weekend. A rescue, jittery and gentle. We matched. Safety was a slow rebuild, but every click of that deadbolt echoed peace. Tyler fled the state, ignored court-ordered payments. I filed garnishment, found out he was driving for a rideshare app. We notified them. They suspended him. He emailed me raging. I didn't reply, forwarded it to my lawyer. Kevin framed the court's final order hung near my front door. Proof of sanity, he called it. I called it survival. No one could take this space again, not by force, not by guilt. This home had teeth now. Mom sent one last message. "We miss the old you." I deleted it. There was no old me, just the quiet version, the compliant one. He was gone. Kevin and I celebrated with sparklers in the backyard. The dog barked at the noise, then curled into my lap. I wasn't broken, I'd been buried. Now I dug myself out. Tyler lost access, they lost control. I gained clarity. Some families are found, others are escaped. Kevin's mom sent cookies. She wrote, "You always had a place with us." I hadn't cried that hard since the trial. He read it aloud, then hugged me. No words, just warmth. I framed it next to a childhood drawing of mine. She saved me. A stick figure, standing on a hill. Safe house, I'd written. Somehow I knew even back then. Out, I had won. It wasn't just bricks, it was battle-earned. It was mine. I started sharing my story online anonymously. Messages poured in at people who'd lived through similar hells. One wrote, "I thought I was crazy, thank you." Another, "You gave me courage." Kevin helped moderate replies. We turned the worst trauma into connection. Tyler tried to comment once, banned instantly. My truth wasn't for him. It was for survivors. The silenced. I wasn't just reclaiming space, I was lighting beacons. Proof that you can escape and rebuild. Loudly, Kevin moved in, not romantically, just safely. We split bills, chores, dog walks. Some nights we'd cook, then sit silently with tea. Healing doesn't need speeches, it needs quiet and presence. I trusted him. That trust had roots. When storms hit, he'd say, "We're reinforced now," and we were. No one entered without respect. My house had boundaries, so did I. Pain forged them. Love fortified them. It wasn't picture perfect. It was real, that was better. A year later, I changed the mailbox label to Red Armstrong Hughes. Kevin laughed. "We're a brand now, a fortress," I replied. The neighbors waved. The dog barked at butterflies. We planted wildflowers where the old junk pile sat. Roots took hold. The house didn't feel haunted anymore. It felt earned. Not everyone gets family by blood. Some of us have to grow ours. Piece by loyal piece. I wasn't just safe. I was seen fully. I stood at my front door, hand on the frame. It no longer felt like a place I defended. It felt like mine. Kevin's laughter echoed from the kitchen. My dog curled by my feet. This wasn't revenge. It was recovery. And in that stillness, I whispered to myself, "You don't know anyone's silence." That truth, finally, felt safe to say. I deleted the last voicemail from Mom. No tears, just a nod. That voice no longer ruled me. I sat on the porch with Kevin. Sipping coffee, we talked about future vacations, not past scars. Healing wasn't forgetting, it was raw-thawing. The past didn't vanish, it shrank, and I finally had room to breathe. No edits, no guilt, just peace and presence. I found an old drawing, stick figures labeled "Me and Family." With a question mark, I pinned it to my fridge. It didn't sting anymore. Kevin added a smiley face. That was us now. I wasn't lost, I'd been misfilled. Now I knew where I belonged, and it wasn't an apology. It was in rebuilding. Bright and finally chosen. Tyler now lives with our parents in a rental 2 towns away. No car, no job. The community whispers, "They're those people now." I didn't celebrate their downfall. I didn't need to. Consequences are quiet sometimes. I chose not to look back. Instead, I mowed my lawn, smiled at Kevin, and grilled dinner. My joy wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. We hosted a block party. Kevin made playlists, I grilled. Neighbors bought desserts, someone toasted to rebuilding. I raised my glass. This wasn't just my house, it was our home. The walls didn't echo fear anymore. They held stories, laughter, belonging. I looked around, finally whole. Family isn't who raises you, it's who helps you rise. And I rose unbroken. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.